Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Who is ready for the biggest or possibly biggest episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Yes, welcome back, folks. I hope you all had a great weekend, and I hope you all prepared yourself this weekend, because this time around, oh boy, we got a lot of news to cover, and I know that I have braced myself for this big moment, because I know that last week, oh boy, it was quite a big one. It was quite an explosive one as well, especially talking about the Big Bird controversy, as well as really slamming hard on NFTs. But this time around, we got some major news to go and cover. We got some of the biggest announcements, not just in quality, but also in quantity, especially coming from Disney. And there have been a lot of backlash and a lot of controversies that did occur that we are also going to be covering right here. So I just want to give you all a little bit of a warning right now, but I got a very good feeling that this will definitely exceed the 2-hour mark. We're going to be staying here for a while to take a look at some of the biggest controversies and some of the biggest announcements that all occurred this week. And I can guarantee you that we are all gonna have a good time. Aren't we, folks, eh? Come on, are we all gonna have a good time? Hold on a sec. Here it is. I need to make sure I put in my own applause track, at least to pretend this is how you guys are feeling, but whatever. You all get the idea, though. So, my big question to you all is, are you all ready for this extravagant episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all prepared for this? Oh, let me see. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see people are ready. They're bracing themselves. They're all being prepared. And I see the excitement that's already going on. So with all that said and done, it is now time that we officially get things started. And with our first story, I'm going to tell you about what happened on Friday, November 12th, which apparently has been marked as Disney Plus Day. Now, at first, Disney Plus Day seems to be like some corporate-inducing kind of special holiday kind of thing. Like it's only there to go and commemorate the release of Disney Plus, or the second anniversary of Disney Plus. It doesn't seem like that much of a big deal. We already know that there would be some new releases that would be put onto Disney Plus, not only some brand new shorts and some brand new content that would be there, but also some major content, already existing content on there, rather it be some of the acclaimed award-winning animated shorts from Walt Disney Animation Studios like Paperman and Get a Horse. There is also The Jungle Cruise that's now available for free on Disney Plus, and of course, you can go and now watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But even I did not expect that there would be much more. Oh yes, there would be so much more that Disney would go and actually announce, revealing not just about what's going to be coming up soon on Disney Plus, but even showing us the future of what Disney Plus shall hold. And that's exactly the first story I'm about to cover today, as we are going to be taking a look at all the major announcements coming soon. Whoops, oh, that's going to be for later. Sorry about that. Oh yes, what's going to be coming soon on Disney Plus. And the big thing with this is that Disney, on Friday, they put up a big list of reveals. Like, they made a massive Twitter thread, one by one, revealing all the major projects that are going to be happening, not just in 2022, but even a little bit beyond. And even directly on Disney Plus, they even made special little videos about the content of what's going to be coming soon in some of their more popular divisions, regarding a little more detail about their upcoming projects that they will serve on Disney Plus. So, I actually have here this article from D23 that does go down into each of the major announcements that will be coming soon to the streaming service, especially the 2022 stuff. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, the first one that we got here is all the major announcements directly from Disney. And by the way, I'm just going to say right now that I will be going in the order of the D23 article. So the first thing that they present here is a reimagining of the classic family comedy Cheaper by the Dozen, in which that is going to be coming out on March of 2022. And I don't know if I would be interested in checking it out. I mean, then again, I will say that I remember when I was a kid, I actually did watch the original Cheaper by the Dozen on the big screen with Steve Martin. And I'm just going to say this right now. If this remake is going to be anything like what we recently had with that new Home Alone movie, I think I'm going to give this a pass. But then, following afterwards, we got the long-awaited sequel to Enchanted, where yes, they did reveal a brand new release date for Disenchanted, by mentioning that in the fall of 2022, that's when the movie will be coming out on Disney+. And by the way, I'm just going to say right now that fall 2022 is going to be an interesting time, because I am going to be saying that a lot, and there will be a lot of fascinating new releases. Next up, we had a little moment with author Jeff Kinney, in which he talked a little bit about the upcoming animated feature Diary of a Wimpy Kid that's going to be coming soon, actually coming very soon, on December 3rd on Disney+. But he wasn't just there to go and promote his new movie, he was also there to go and announce that already there is going to indeed be a sequel to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, in which is going to be called Roderick Rules, and that is going to be coming out on somewhere in 2022. So not only do we have an animated movie coming up, but a sequel to that animated movie will also be included. Then following afterwards, we also had a little moment of seeing John Mulaney and Andy Samberg, as they were there to go and announce that their CG live-action hybrid of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers is going to be coming to Disney Plus on March, or not March, but in the spring of 2022. Oh, we also got a new subscription. Thank you very much, Yami199. That is very nice of you. But yeah, honestly, with this one, even though we don't necessarily have much information as of yet, there is a part of me that honestly is a little bit concerned of how this is going to turn out, especially if they're going to do the live action CG treatment towards Chip 'n Dale, and also having Andy Samberg among the cast. It's just something that, I don't know, it feels concerning. I can't put in any judgment just yet, but we'll wait and see with how this goes. And especially, this is not necessarily a big screen release movie. This is just a Disney Plus exclusive, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but there is a part of me that is concerned with this. But anyways, getting back into this, speaking of getting back, we actually got a brand new clip that was released from the Peter Jackson docuseries The Beatles Get Back, which that one is actually going to be coming very, very soon, next week actually, on November 25th. So in here, the clip is just to give us a little bit of a taste, to show us more of the behind the scenes of the Beatles' later years and some of the conflicts that would come with it. Because you probably know a little bit of Beatles history, where at the end, well, things just didn't seem to work well, and conflicts started to grow a bit more common amongst the group. And then following afterwards, we also got another movie that is going to be based on a beloved book, which is called Better Nate Than Ever. Somehow it seemed harder to say than it is like reading it in my mind. But yes, the book based on, the book by Tim Federal, I believe? Yes. Apparently that will be getting a movie on Disney Plus, in which that is going to be coming out in the spring of 2022. Now, you guys probably do recall that I mentioned that in the fall of 2022, that's when things really do get interesting, because not only would they have the release of Disenchanted, but there is also another long-awaited, highly anticipated sequel, and that is none other than Hocus Pocus 2, in which they revealed the first image of Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy coming back in their iconic roles as the Sanderson sisters. And yes, they did reveal that this is going to be coming in the fall of 2022, or Halloween of 2022. And I'm going to be very honest with you all, this is going to be one of those Disney Plus movies that I definitely am curious to go and check out. Even though I'm not necessarily expecting anything great coming out of this, I am honestly a major fan of Hocus Pocus. I'm definitely one of those people that actually do watch Hocus Pocus annually around the Halloween time. And yes, this did even include this year. So I am definitely going to be curious to see how this is going to go. And I know that technically with the Sanderson sisters, there's no denying they definitely do look older than they did back in the early 1990s. But funny enough, I feel like this still kind of works in a way. Because when you do think about Hocus Pocus and the whole lore with the Sanderson sisters, technically their big goal is that they want to have eternal youth. So they would go and suck up the souls of children in order to make their body look more young. So in a way, seeing them come back but still older, it's like, it still makes sense. It's like, yeah, they're older, but it still fits well with the narrative of Hocus Pocus, is that it's just that now, like, since they are older, they don't need makeup to look older. Maybe they're gonna have some like digital effects when they might look younger, but still though, I like, this still works. This still very much works, and I am definitely gonna be curious to check this one out. All right, anyways, moving on, we also got the remake, the live action remake of Pinocchio. Yes, we all know about the live action remake of the Walt Disney classic that will be brought to us by none other than Robert Zemeckis, and even having an all-star cast like Luke Evans, Tom Hanks, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Keegan-Michael Key, and many more. That apparently now has a new release date, which that will also be released in the fall of 2022. And I know that technically this is, well, not just a Disney live-action remake, but a Disney live-action remake that won't even hit the big screen. It's just going to be released exclusively on Disney+. And this could turn out to be completely disastrous. That I am aware. But there is still a part of me that would be absolutely morbidly curious to know how this is going to be. Maybe this is going to be awesome. Maybe this is going to be a flop. I don't know, but we'll just see. You know, honestly, I'm very curious to know. Like, maybe I could expect a train wreck, but maybe this could be a pleasant surprise as well. I doubt it, but you never know. But then afterwards, we got this one, the comeback of Ice Age. Yes, even though Blue Sky is no longer with us, the legacy of Ice Age will definitely still live on with this brand new animated movie called Ice Age: Adventures of Buck Wild, in which, yeah, you will see the classic characters like Manny, Sid, and Diego coming back, but it will primarily be about Buck and as well as the dynamic duo of Crash and Eddie. Now, one thing I will say, you know the feeling of love at first sight? When immediately you first see or first hear about something, immediately you fall in love with the idea, that you feel like this is going to be the best thing ever, and it's almost like a life-changing experience that you know because of that thing, life will be better for you. Well, this one is the complete opposite. This is hate at first sight. Especially with the idea that we're getting not only are we getting another Ice Age movie, but we're getting an Ice Age movie starring two of the worst characters, Crash and Eddie. Now, the only positive that I could find in all this is that at least seeing Buck in here, it looks like it's going to be Buck more from Dawn of the Dinosaurs instead of Collision Course, because, my God, Buck was unbearable in the fifth movie, so at least we'll have the fun, enjoyable Buck from that film. But other than that, though, My God, everything that I saw in this trailer, I hate it. I hate the fact that it stars Crash and Eddie. I hate the humor that they're delivering, and especially the animation is a massive downgrade compared to what we had before. Like, the one redeeming thing from the movies, especially from the later time, that's completely all gone. So I'm not excited for this crap, and I wouldn't be surprised if this could even turn out to be possibly the worst thing that you could find on Disney Plus. I know there's a lot of contenders, but this one right here, oh man, this is hate at first sight, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go and write a review to just smack the crap out of this thing. All right, but anyways, moving right along. What we got here is, we have another Cinderella retelling called Sneakerella. And I know what you're probably thinking, oh, another Cinderella movie. Didn't we just already went through one with Sony and Amazon with their Cinderella movie that turned out to be complete cringe? The one with, like, James Corden, which is kind of like kind of like a living seal of garbage right there. Well, I will say, yes, it is another one, but this one I will give it credit that it definitely did put in a lot of effort to make itself different. Because not only are they gender swapping the Cinderella role, where now the Cinderella protagonist is actually a guy, but also it's going to be set in the modern setting with a massive basketball theme. So I will give it credit that at least it does try to be different. It does try to stand out compared to all the other Cinderella adaptations. So at least that would count for something. Does that mean it's going to be good? I don't know, but I guess we will wait and see, because the movie does have a release date on February 18th, 2022. And then following afterwards, now, speaking of another thing that is highly anticipated, we actually got a brand new trailer and a first full look at the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. Yes, the Proud Family is indeed gonna be coming back to Disney Plus, now fresher than ever, with the family on new adventures in a brand new generation. And I will admit, I haven't actually fully seen any episodes of the Proud Family, but even checking out the trailer alone, like, this series does actually look like it's going to be a lot of fun. Not to mention that this is going to be a show in which they will stay true to the original source material. In fact, they are going to be bringing back the original cast. And on top of that, they do promise a whole bunch of not only new characters, but even a bunch of major celebrities. Some of the names that I remember seeing there include Leslie Odom Jr., Lil Nas X, and several others. So if you guys are excited to go and check out the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, that's going to be coming out on February of 2022. Then following afterwards, we got High School Musical, the series, the hit Disney Plus series, in which, yes, it has been confirmed that there will be another season coming up, in which this one seems to be all about camping. And I'm going to read you here a little bit from D23 as it states, "Love is an open door outside the halls of East High. Season 3 of the show will follow its characters to sleepaway camp for a summer of campfires, romances, and curfew-free nights." So it will be more, it looks like it's going to be more about the summer, and it's going to be themed to camping. Then following afterwards, Disney revealed a pretty ambitious series coming up, all based on the Spiderwick Chronicles. And this is going to be a massive team up, not just with Disney Television, but also with 20th Century Television, and even Paramount Television is actually going to be joining in the fray, in which it even states here, the series, based on the beloved best-selling books, will follow the Grace family, twin brothers Jared and Simon, their sister Mallory, and their mother Helen, as they move into their dilapidated ancestral home. They begin to unravel a dark mystery about their great-great-uncle who once discovered the secret and sometimes dangerous fairy world. So, in a way, I guess the best way to describe it for those of you who are not necessarily familiar with Spiderwick Chronicles, a part of it is kind of like, imagine Gravity Falls, but taking itself a lot more seriously and maybe more fantasy than weird. So yes, this is apparently going to be coming very soon. Not necessarily any new release date attached to it, but that is going to be a major project that will be a part of it, including the fact that on social media they did reveal some new some concept art and some of the CG of what these creatures will look like in the Spiderwick Chronicles. Then moving on up, we got Walt Disney Animation Studios, in which they're going to be bringing out their first ever series in their history, which is going to be called Baymax. Yes, the lovable robot from Big Hero 6 is now going to have his own series, and we're just going to see the little adventures that Baymax would have in the summer of 2022. So this is going to be a big step for Disney Animation as they now enter into the series market with Disney Plus. And by the way, speaking of which, there's also another one that will be coming soon next year, and that is Zootopia Plus, in which right here we are going to see a short form series in which we'll chronicle all the different characters throughout the movie, rather it be with Judy Hopps' family, the possum wedding, or even the weasel like dreaming himself about money. We got a bit of a Godfather Part 2 story with the Godfather rodent. We also got Chief Bogo and crap, I forgot his name. Fudge nabbit. If you can help me out on this, I'm sorry that that I forgot some of the characters' names here, but yeah, well, okay, yeah, we got Duke Weaselton, yeah, Clawhauser, thank you so much. Yeah, so Chief Bogo and Clawhauser together, and oddly enough, am I the only one that's noticing that they kind of look like a couple? I'm just saying, don't be surprised if we see people or more people in 2022 actually do some kind of shipping with Chief Bogo and Clawhauser, or even if they would make that a real thing, imagine. And then, of course, we would have an episode with the Sloths. But yes, Zootopia will have a lot more content coming soon in 2022. And then, amongst all the series that Disney Animation has coming soon, I think the one that could debatably be the most anticipated would have to be in 2023 when they release Tiana, which isn't just going to be a hand-drawn animated series. It's going to be a hand-drawn, long-form musical series in which not only did they reveal a new concept art with Tiana on a boat, and we see like a little puddle of water revealing some magical plants, but it even says here that for the series, Tiana sets off for a grand new adventure as the newly crowned princess of Amaldonia. But a calling to her New Orleans past isn't far behind. So I could definitely say, like, I am definitely excited for, like, Baymax, Zootopia Plus, but especially with Tiana. Not just the fact that it is going to be a brand new hand-drawn series, but also more adventures with the Princess and the Frog that, considering how it is a sleeper hit, I definitely would love to see more new stories coming out of it, and definitely playing more with these characters like Tiana, Naveen, who else? Lewis, and maybe, who knows, maybe even Dr. Facilier. I mean, you never know with his friends from the other side that maybe he can find a way to make another deal or something like that. But honestly, I'm definitely hyped up for this one. And finally, the last announcement directly from Disney is a new series called Intertwined, in which the interesting thing here is that Disney is actually going to be taking a page from Netflix, where with Netflix, they actually found some newfound major popularity where some of their biggest shows is not actually made in the US, but rather in other places of the world. They went to Spain and they picked up Money Heist, and that became a massive sensation. And even just recently, they went to Korea and picked up Squid Game, and that became a massive phenomenon. So Disney is kind of doing the same thing, where they went to Latin America and they picked up this series called Intertwined, and now they're going to put it onto Disney Plus. So is it going to be good? Is it going to find that same level of success that Disney had with, or that Netflix had with stuff like Squid Game and Money Heist? Well, we will have to wait and see when that is going to be coming soon to Disney Plus. Okay, so that's all the Disney announcements here, but don't worry, there's a lot more. And believe me when I say that there is so much more. And now we're going to be entering the realm of Pixar, where one of the first things that they did reveal is that we're going to have not one, but 2 feature-length documentaries, all about the making of the animated movies that are going to be coming out in 2022 from Pixar, which is Turning Red and Lightyear. So if you want an additional excuse to be hyped up for those movies, then you can also go and check out those documentaries when they come out, probably around the same time as when the movies will be released. Now, in terms of the other stuff that they have coming out, they got Cars on the Road, a brand new Cars series in which we'll be bringing back Mater and Lightning McQueen, and yes, they will be voiced by Larry the Cable Guy and Owen Wilson, in which we see more new adventures with the two. And some of them, well, they can go pretty crazy. Apparently, we've seen some screenshots in which we see Mater and McQueen with dinosaurs, or even Mater and McQueen in a Mad Max-like environment. So yeah, they got some wild ideas for Cars on the Road, and apparently that's going to be a major series that's going to be coming out in 2022. Maybe not a big series, but it will be, like, I'm expecting probably something in the levels of Doug Days, where it's going to be like a short form series that they'll just put out a few cartoons. But still, I think for Cars fans, this will definitely be something to keep an eye out for. And then finally, we got Win or Lose. This is going to be Pixar's first ever long form animated series in which they revealed a bit more detail about what the series will be about. And apparently it's just going to be this one small event. It's just going to be all about this one small event about a championship baseball game with kids. But the interesting thing about it is that in each episode, they will be focusing on a different character. So you'll have one episode in which they'll be focusing on the dad. Then in the next episode, they'll be focusing on the star player. Then another episode, they'll be focusing on the bench warmer. And then another episode, they'll be focusing on the friend. But it's all during that one event from different perspectives of so many different characters. And honestly, I really like those. I really like those projects in which we look into like the different perspectives of different people all surrounding this one event, you know, kind of like a Rashomon like storytelling, or to give a better animation example, something in the veins of Hoodwinked, where they all retell what happened during that one event. So honestly, that got me pretty excited. So I'm definitely going to be curious to check this one out, but this won't be coming out anytime soon because they did put in a release date that this will be released sometime in 2023. All right, so that's done with the Pixar stuff. Now it's time to move on with all the announcements for Marvel. And I'm just going to warn you right now, for you MCU fanboys, holy crap, you guys are gonna be busy. You are gonna be binge watching Disney Plus for a while, because they've announced a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, we all know about Hawkeye, which that thing is actually going to be coming out next week. But then there's going to be so much more new stuff that will be coming out. Another one is going to be Moon Knight, in which that is going to be released in 2022, in which I'll read you here what this is actually going to be about here. Let's see, I'll go up to here, where it states, get a first look at Moon Knight, a new globe-trotting action-adventure series starring Oscar Isaac as a complex vigilante who suffers from dissociative identity disorder. The multiple identities who live inside him find themselves thrust into a deadly war of the gods against the backdrop of modern and ancient Egypt. So yeah, we got an Egyptian Marvel series that's going to be coming out next year. And then afterwards, we also got She-Hulk, which apparently is going to be a more comedic series in which not only will they have Jennifer Walters, but they will also have the Hulk himself and Abomination, played by Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth, respectively, in which that they are prepared to go and release that next year in 2022. And then finally, for the last series that's coming out next year, we got Miss Marvel. Yes, Marvel's first Muslim superhero is finally going to be coming into the center stage, in which it states here, Meet Kamala Khan, a 16-year-old Pakistani-American from Jersey City. An aspiring artist, an avid gamer, and a voracious fan fiction scribe, she is a huge fan of the Avengers, Captain Marvel in particular. But Kamala has always struggled to find her place in the world. That is until she gets superpowers like the heroes she always looked up to. Iman Velani, I think I said that wrong. If I did, I apologize. Stars as Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. And that is going to be coming out in 2022. But oh wait, there is more. There is so much more after this. Because then following afterwards, after 2022, you're going to get a whole bunch of new shows. These include Echo, which that will be coming out sometime in the future, which will star Maya Lopez, not the actress, but the character, in which she will be introduced in Hawkeye. Then afterwards, we got Ironheart, which is going to be the successor to Iron Man, with Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. And we're going to have that series that will be coming soon to see the next generation of Iron Man. And because WandaVision was so successful, of course, Agatha herself is going to get a series, which is going to be called Agatha House of Harkness. And yes, Catherine Hahn will be coming back to her iconic role, so that's going to be another thing happening. And then we got Secret Invasion, which is a series based on Captain Marvel, in which it even says here, a series starring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn as Skrull Talos, characters who first met in Captain Marvel. The crossover comic event series showcases a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls who have been infiltrating Earth for years. Then we got another project that we already know of, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and yes, they got James Gunn coming back. But then, we got one of the biggest announcements that is going to be coming soon to Disney+. And, well, I don't think it's going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I could be wrong. But still, though, a lot of people are massively hyped up for X-Men 97. And yes, this is actually what you think this is by looking at this title. This is actually going to be a revival of the 1990s X-Men series. And in fact, they even confirmed that the original cast of the animated series is actually going to be coming back, reprising their roles. So that is actually going to be another thing that will be happening coming soon to Disney+. And speaking of animated series from Marvel, apparently the first animated Marvel series that they got, at least the one that is connected to the MCU, that ended up being so special, that ended up being so successful, that yes, a season 2 is indeed happening. What If is going to be coming back soon with the Guardians of the Multiverse. So that is going to be happening. We don't know a new release date yet, but they know that they will be working on it. Then following afterwards, we actually got yet another highly anticipated series that is announced from this whole roster, and that is Spider-Man Freshman Year, which is actually going to be a prequel to the MCU Spider-Man series, in which we will learn about how Peter Parker became Spider-Man, and before the events when we first meet him in Captain America Civil War. And that one, I will say, even though I have yet to actually see any of the MCU Spider-Man films, I know, like, I got a lot of catching up to do with the MCU in general, but still, though, there is a part of me that is very curious to see this one, especially with the fact that, it is another new Spider-Man animated series. So that's always exciting whenever Spider-Man enters into the realm of animation, especially when some of the best works from Spider-Man is animation. Rather it be stuff like the, I don't know if we would count the 1960s, like the Spider-Man series from the 1960s, but I mean, we could call it a classic in some way. I mean, it's always fun to watch. But then there is also Spectacular Spider-Man, which is a great series. And of course, well, this is without mentioning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So an MCU Spider-Man series, hell yeah, this actually sounds pretty awesome. But then afterwards, not only are we getting a holiday special, but we're also going to get a short-form animated series from the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is going to be called I Am Groot. And that is going to be another thing that will be coming soon. And in a way, you could say it's a prequel to some of the Avengers movies like Infinity War and Endgame, where this is mostly going to be looking into the adventures of Baby Groot specifically. Like not just any Groot, but it's actually going to be all about Baby Groot. So that's going to be coming soon. And by the way, not only is What If going to be getting a season 2 coming soon, but also they're getting a spinoff already, in which, yes, there is going to be an animated series on Marvel Zombies. So that's actually going to be a thing that will be happening on Disney Plus. Like I told you guys, you Marvel fans are going to be quite busy in 2022 and especially beyond. So keep an eye out on that and make sure you keep your Disney Plus subscription if you want to stay on top of what's happening with the MCU. Now, moving right along, we also got some announcements coming from Lucasfilm, and probably the biggest criticism from it is the fact that we didn't get major announcements from the Star Wars side of things, but they still did reveal a little bit of what's going to be coming up from Lucasfilm. The first of which is going to be the Willow series. Now, this has already been announced before, but we did get a little bit of a clip of the cast that is going to be involved in there, which, yes, Warwick Davis will be back in his iconic role, but also they got Ruby Cruz, Aaron Kellyman, Ellie Bamber, Tony Revolori, Amar Chanda Patel, and Dempsey Beek, in which the Willow series will be coming soon in 2022. Then afterwards, well, probably the big one that a lot of people have been waiting for is the announcement of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, the long-awaited Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Not only did they confirm, well, it's already been confirmed that Ewan McGregor will be back as Obi-Wan, but also that they are bringing back Hayden Christensen as his iconic role as Anakin/Darth Vader. And even in the concept art that they did show on Disney Plus Day, there will be some fight scenes in which the two will be lightsaber fighting together. And they did reveal the big thing about it is that the series will be coming soon in 2022. So that's definitely going to be one of the most anticipated things that will be coming out on Disney Plus next year. And even I'm definitely hyped up for it. As someone who technically did grow up in the age of the prequels, I'm honestly not a fan. In fact, the first and the second, I always consider them to be the worst. I can also include the ninth one in there, but yeah, the prequels, the only good thing that came out of them, other than the animated stuff like Clone Wars and the Genndy Tartakovsky series, it has to be like episode 3 was good, but even at that, it could be extremely corny at times. So, but yeah, I am still excited to see this Obi-Wan series coming out in 2022. And then finally, they also mentioned about the documentary Under the Helmet, The Legacy of Boba Fett, a 20-minute documentary which goes into the cultural impact and the origins of the character Boba Fett. Even though he only appeared like just for a few minutes throughout the entire original trilogy and only had a total of 4 lines in there, they really go deep into how they, about who Boba Fett is, how he came to be, and the audience's reaction to the guy and his place in the Star Wars universe. Just today, actually, I watched the Boba Fett documentary. Like, it's on now on Disney Plus, and I will say it's actually very fascinating. If you are a Star Wars fan, I highly recommend you go and check that one out. All right, now moving right along, we also got more content. Yes, there actually is more. This time around from National Geographic, in which they have actually announced a whole bunch of shows that are just going to be 6-part documentary series, some of which will include some big-name celebrities, like this one right over here called Welcome to Earth, in which they will take Will Smith and they will bring him to several different parts of the world so that he can go and embrace and really explore the natural wonders that this planet would have to go and offer. And I mean, with these shows, I will say right now that I guess if you are a fan of that Jeff Goldblum series that they have on Disney Plus, then maybe you'll probably enjoy some of these as well, because it is celebrities just exploring around, like just being themselves and exploring like some different subject matter, rather it be like Jeff Goldblum experiencing different parts of the world and different cultures. With Will Smith here, he's just checking out more natural elements of the world. Then following afterwards, we got this documentary series, well, a more straightforward documentary series called America the Beautiful, in which we'll be highlighting all the animals across the United States, or the wild animals from the United States. And then afterwards, we got Limitless with Chris Hemsworth, where I already talked about Jeff Goldblum, I already talked about Will Smith, but now with Limitless, Chris Hemsworth would go and train and do all these rigorous challenges to go and educate people about the power of the human body, to show them what the human body can do, and even give out some good tips about how to live a healthier and better quality of life for the viewer. And by the way, I forgot to mention about the release dates, but the Chris Hemsworth series and America the Beautiful, that's going to be coming out in 2022, while Will Smith is actually not far behind. He's actually going to be coming very, very soon this year on December 8th. So those are going to be some shows that also will be coming up on Disney+. And then finally, we got the content coming from Star. Now, keep in mind, this is for the international people and for Canadians like myself, that this will be the content that will be in the Star section of Disney+. But you Americans, you will also be getting this as well, because this is going to be content that will be coming soon on Hulu. So keep that in mind. You will also have this as well. And the first of which they announced from there is a comedy series called Rosalind, which apparently is going to be a more comedic take of Romeo and Juliet, in which not only are they going to be focusing on Juliet's cousin, Rosalind, but she's apparently also the ex-boyfriend of Romeo. So adding in that little twist to the classic tale. So that's going to be coming soon in 2022. Then afterwards, we got a new movie called The Princess, in which I'm going to go and read from D23 to explain it better. In this irreverent action movie set in the fairy tale world, Joey King stars as a young royal who is more comfortable with a sword than a tiara and must save her kingdom from ruthless mercenaries. Directed by Let Van Kiet, the movie will premiere in the summer of 2022. So basically, this is like a live-action remake of Brave that is not Brave. You know, you get what I mean. It's kind of like a live-action remake of Brave, but it's not a live-action remake of Brave. It has a very similar concept. All right, but moving right along, we also got Prey. And believe it or not, folks, this is a new movie in the Predator franchise. Yeah, you see that little glowing red dot right over here coming from this giant figure? That is legit the Predator. And it even states here, it has an interesting concept. A new entry in the Predator franchise, Prey will premiere in the summer of 2022. Set in the world of the Comanche Nation 300 years ago, the action thriller follows Naru, the skilled warrior who fiercely protects her tribe against a highly evolved alien predator. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg. I had to read that slowly because those are way too many letters in one shot. The film will premiere in the summer of 2022. So yes, on Disney Plus internationally, technically, but even on Disney Plus or on Hulu, there will indeed be a new Predator movie coming up. And the final announcement that they have made is a new series called No Exit, in which it says here, this harrowing suspense thriller follows Darby Thorne, played by Havana Rose Liu, a young woman who is stranded by a blizzard and forced to find shelter at a highway rest with a group of strangers. No Exit will premiere in 2022. And with that, this shall conclude all the announcements that have been made for Disney Plus for not just 2022, but even beyond. And oh man, there's definitely going to be a lot of content that will be coming soon. Some that I will say I'm definitely excited for, some that I am definitely curious about, and some that I know that I will either skip or I will absolutely despise. But yeah, that's definitely quite a lot over there. But if there are a few that I personally would say that I am excited the most to check out, I will say win or lose, I'm definitely interested. Obi-Wan for sure. Spider-Man freshman year, I would say I am the most interested in checking out, and of course the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. I think I said win or lose already. Then there is, well, I am curious about Hocus Pocus 2 and Pinocchio. Then there is also the Disney stuff, the stuff from Disney Animation. I'm also very excited for, rather it be Baymax, Zootopia Plus, or even Tiana. Those I'm definitely excited for. But yeah, holy crap. Those were all the major announcements that's happening on Disney Plus. And yeah, there's definitely no short of content that will be coming soon. And this is just on Disney Plus alone. This is not even talking about the stuff they'll have coming soon on the big screen, on television, on ABC, the theme parks, or whatever. And holy crap, yeah, I think this definitely did succeed in giving me at least a good reason as to why I want to keep my streaming service, because they got some very interesting content coming up and stuff that I personally am excited for. So yeah, honestly, I think there is a little bit of something for everyone on this. So honestly, by this point, I want to know your thoughts. Now it's time for you to go and take center stage. What do you think about all the announcements that happened for Disney Plus Day? What are some of the projects you're most anticipated for? What are some of the ones that you're not excited for? Let me know what you all think on this. And I know some of you, well, you're writing like crazy on the keyboard, so better prepare for what you got to say for this, because I know for sure that it is a lot for me. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, Hocus Pocus 2 and Disenchanted sound great. Ice Age exists, but not exactly a studio swan song. Proud Family sounds awesome, and I can't wait to see anti-SJWs having a fit because the new show is too woke. Yeah, I'm sure it'll give them a lot of material. I mean, it is a series starring a black family. That alone is considered too woke for the ultra conservatives and the anti-SJW crowd right there. Anyways, it was always woke, never subtle about its message. Tiana, oh boy, 2D fans are gonna flip. Pixar stuff. Yes, but cars on the road. Hell yeah, boy. Must have my cars. Owen Wilson is McQueen again. Please have some RS characters appear, please. I can already see some people are pretty hyped up for cars there. Anyways, moving right along. I got so much to say about Disney Plus Day. For one, their MCU stuff are definitely going to be a blast. X-Men animated is returning. Disenchanted could be something good. And Idina Menzel singing? Yeah, can't wait for more. Proud Family, Obi-Wan looking promising. Tiana looks interesting so far. Pixar's Win or Lose sounds great. And the Beatles Get Back documentary is definitely going to be great. Those announcements is definitely going to keep me busy on Disney Plus for a while now. And then tries to continue by saying like, also off topic, and then just cuts off there. Man, sorry about that, dude, but it's unfortunately Twitch, you know, like everybody needs to comment, and I mean, you could probably see in the chat wall, like it's definitely flooding right over here. Anyways, going back over here. All right, lightning round, let's go. Project Rules is my favorite Wimpy Kid book, so I hope it'll be good. Pinocchio sounds fine. Cars on the Road sounds weird, but still fun. The MCU shows should really be fun, and I'm intrigued by the most by Moonlight. The new Proud Family looks fun. Baymax looks adorable, and my expectations for the Buck movie were low, but sweet Jesus. Anyways, that aside, all I hope for now is a second season of Olaf Presents, where he finally does Chicken Little. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna lie. This Olaf Presents, I did watch it, and yes, it is a very unnecessary show, and it is like a desperate attempt to try to continuously cash in on the success of Frozen. but I would lie if I say that I did not enjoy it and I did not have a good laugh with it. Unless you're someone who hates Olaf and hates Frozen, it definitely is a nice little treat because it is exactly what you think it is. It's that scene from Frozen 2 where Olaf would completely reenact the first movie in a very quick and humorous way, but he does so with different movies like Moana, Tangled, Lion King, what else? Little Mermaid and Aladdin. And there have been a lot of funny moments, and especially like probably the most memorable thing from there has to be Olaf recreating Eugene Smolder. Like that face alone has to be the most hilariously stupid thing that Disney has done. And honestly, a part of me just loves it. So just want to quickly mention my thoughts on that thing. So yes, it is unnecessary. People who don't like Frozen, they're not going to like it, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And even if you're not a fan of that, I think we can all agree that Olaf Presents is way better than Simpsons Plusiversary. I can guarantee you that. Anyways, what else do we have here? Okay. Here's my reaction to this content. Disenchanted. Now, this is something I wanted to watch. Hocus Pocus 2. I'm very interested in seeing this, but how good will it be? I don't know. Pinocchio. Don't ruin this, Disney. Ice Age. ... Baymax. I really like this. Zootopia Plus. Yeah! Tiana. Hope it is hand-drawn. Moon Knight. Podemeron in a Marvel hero, as a Marvel hero. Cool. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Yeah! Spider-Man Freshman Year. Now I'm really into this. Willow. And no thanks. Obi-Wan Kenobi. How long has it been? I would say when the series will be released, it will be 17 years since the last time we've seen those two. All right, moving right along. Who else do we have here? Did I read this one? Okay, no, I haven't. There is so much revealed for Disney Plus Day, I don't know where to start. I'm very excited for the upcoming Disney animated series like Tiana and Zootopia Plus. Very interested to see how Win or Lose turns out. However, I am kind of disappointed with the lack of Star Wars announcements, but as a huge Marvel fan, I am massively hyped for the upcoming Marvel shows. However, if Agatha House of Harkness does not use the song Agatha as the show theme song, we riot. Oh, they will. They have to. I think they're legally obliged to do so. I think it's probably something that is written in like the US Constitution that the Agatha series has to use the Agatha All Along song. All right, I think I'm going to read 2 more comments because there's like so much. Anyways, out of all the announcements, the one that I am surprised the most was the Proud Family Louder and Prouder. Me and my siblings really love and enjoy the OG show, and hearing that it's coming back is really exciting. I can't wait to see how Penny is going through her life as a young adult. I'm going to watch the show when it comes out on Disney Plus in February. To quote Oscar Proud, Trudy! Also, is Orlando Brown coming back as Sticky Web? Honestly, from what I've seen, yes, I think he will. In fact, actually, let me just go back for a second on the Proud Family announcement. I believe they did say so. Did they say, who is it, as Sticky Web? Just want to double check. They got Kyla Pratt, they got Tommy Davidson, they got Jai Parker, Joe Murray Payton, Cedric the Entertainer, Carlos Mencina, Maria Kenlis Barretta. Where is Orlando? Oh, I don't know, actually. I don't know, but maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. Oh, that's definitely a good eye right there. All right, so I'm going to read one more comment before we move on to the next. Just want to make sure I get one that I haven't read. I don't care about most of this news, but I'm excited for some like Beatles and Prey. Sounds like it's going to be awesome. But I just have strong feelings on one that I need to vent out with this. I am not a fan of Ice Age nor most of Blue Sky's catalog, but this still feels wrong at best, in poor taste, and at worst a massive slap in the face at all those who were laid off earlier this year. It stung that this is what they salvaged from Blue Sky instead of keeping the studio itself. Yeah, I think it's going to be safe to say that when that is going to be released, it's going to get some serious backlash. Like, it's going to be the kind where, like, Disney is going to see the reactions to it and they'll go, "Go!" Exactly. So you better prepare yourself for when that is going to be released, because trust me, people will riot when they see the adventures of Buck Wild. Hoo-wee! Now that was quite a story right there. I'm honestly surprised that we did not surpass an hour with all that thing. But anyways, let's go and actually move on to our next story here. And this one, I will say, we're still going to be keeping into the theme of Disney announcements, but this is going to be one that people are not happy about. At least in terms of, like, people who are not toxic douchebags. They hate this news right over here. And yes, this is something related to Disney announcing something for Disney Plus. And, oh, by the way, special thanks to KS19 Green for the little subscription right there. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to put up something, because there should also be announcements on the green board on top of me. I almost forgot to set that up, but there we go. Okay, we should have that prepared right now. But yes, what I am going to be talking about, well, let's just say it does relate to a previous story that I did talk about last week. But even though there might be some laws that might take it down, that doesn't mean it will stop companies from trying to exploit the living crap out of it. So with that said, let's talk about Disney's new collection of NFTs. Yes, folks, Disney has announced that they are teaming up with VeVe Digital Collectibles in order to go and release a new set of NFTs called Disney Golden Moments, which is meant to honor Disney Plus Day, to go and highlight many of Disney's biggest franchises or their biggest divisions and celebrate them through digital recreations of golden statues highlighting some of their big franchises that they do own. And just going through them one by one, the first one that they have, or what's probably the centerpiece of Disney Golden Moments, is the recreation of the partner statue. If you've ever been to a Disney park, rather it be stuff like Disneyland, Disney World, or whatever, then you're probably familiar with the partner statue of Walt Disney holding the hand of Mickey Mouse. Well, that has been recreated into an NFT. But then, following afterwards, they also got Star Wars NFTs, in which they only got 2 of them. In fact, each set only has 2 NFTs. And in the Star Wars one, they actually got C-3PO and R2-D2. So, of course, they would have some for the beloved robots of the franchise. Then following afterwards, we got Marvel, in which they got an NFT of Iron Man and the Avengers logo. So technically, there's only one superhero that's getting an NFT, and that is Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. Then following afterwards, we got Pixar. Yes, Pixar got a couple of NFTs, in which one will be from WALL-E. Well, it is WALL-E technically, and the other is actually the Pizza Planet truck. And then afterwards, we got one from the Walt Disney Animation Studios, in which they got an NFT of Elsa from Frozen, along with the Sorcerer hat from Fantasia. And then finally, well, even this show cannot escape the wrath of NFTs, because yes, The Simpsons also got their NFTs. Oh! Very fittingly, of course. And for these NFTs, what they got here is of Homer and Bart strangling each other, along with an NFT of Bart's skateboard. And apparently it was last week where VeVe would go and release them one by one, or at least release the sets one by one, from November 7th all the way up to November 12th, which is the Disney Day, releasing it one by one with the Simpsons collection, with the Disney Animation collection, the Pixar collection, the Marvel collection, the Star Wars collection, and then finally with Walt and Mickey. Now, you probably know that last week I already talked in full about my thoughts on NFTs. And honestly, I really do hope that crypto tax is going to be coming soon. And if you don't know, it was sometime last week or several days ago where the US government has officially passed Joe Biden's $1 trillion, or specifically $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, in which included in there is a crypto tax. And from there, a lot of people have speculated, including myself, that this could possibly cause the end of NFTs altogether, where technically it's supposed to be targeting scams, but considering how NFTs nowadays are built on a foundation of nothing but scams, well, it could mean just the end of NFTs altogether. But anyways, going back into this, though, like I said before, even if the crypto tax is not officially put in place very soon, that like for now, companies are going to go and really exploit the living crap out of it. And we have seen other companies do so like immediately, rather it be Viacom CBS, where they want to go and prepare some NFTs based on their biggest franchises like SpongeBob. We've seen Warner Brothers sell some NFTs, including I believe they had a promo where they were selling NFTs based on Space Jam: A New Legacy. And then of course, well, I guess it's pretty much inevitable that even Disney would go and put up their own brand of NFTs, or they're gonna jump into the cryptocurrency market. And so yeah, honestly, I really am not that surprised, but also at the same time, I just gotta say right now, when it comes to these golden moments, am I the only one who feels like so many of these are just absolutely tasteless? Now, granted, I will say that when it comes to some of them, like, okay, they're fine. I mean, there's nothing really much to go and complain about. Like, okay, yeah, like the C-3PO and R2-D2 ones, all right, fine, whatever. The Elsa one and the Sorcerer Hat from Fantasia, all right, fine, whatever. But the rest of these, I don't know, like there's just something very off with them. Like first and foremost, the one about the golden the one based on the partner statue. Yeah, because that's definitely what Walt Disney wanted when he passed away. Like he would tell people, before I die, I only hope that we never lose the sight of one thing, is that 50 years after my death, I will be turned into a digital token. I would just turn into something that the stock market would just freak out about or whatever. So I don't know, like the fact that you're taking the founder of the company and try to use his image in order to make an NFT, I don't know, I just feel like there is something tasteless about it. And I can guarantee you, if there's any other company that would do so, like there would be some serious backlash. In fact, this already did exist. I remember, I think it was this year's Oscars. Yeah, it was this year's Oscars. When they, like, amongst the package that these celebrities would get by being at the Oscars and stuff like that, one of the gifts that they would receive was an NFT that is a golden digital bust of Chadwick Boseman to honor his passing. And I remember immediately afterwards when the Oscar went to Anthony Hopkins instead of Chadwick Boseman, like that NFT just died on the spot, but still very tasteless in the way that they're trying to cash in on somebody's death. And even though like Chadwick Boseman's death is still considered recent, Walt Disney died for more than half a century. So still though, there is that element that just kind of feels tasteless, that you're really cashing in on a deceased person right there. And then afterwards, there's also the Marvel ones, which I will say is probably the funniest ones. And especially the fact that amongst all the Marvel superheroes out there, the one who gets an NFT has to be Iron Man. And I find that absolutely hilarious, because let me ask you, like, maybe there will be some that might say that I am wrong, and some people might say there might be someone who would be more likely to do so. But I feel like, honestly, amongst all the Marvel superheroes out there, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, would definitely be the one that would most likely invest in NFTs. He would be the one that would look at NFTs and just go, and he would just make his own Stark coin, and he would go and like really capitalize on that in order to make a serious amount of revenue. Like he would really go full on Elon Musk with the NFT market. Not to mention the fact that like other than Iron Man, the only other one is the Avengers logo. Like, really? You can't think of, like, putting in Spider-Man or Thor or, like, any of the other Avengers, like Captain America or something? No, you gotta go with the Avengers logo. And apparently they say it's a rare one. Like, are you kidding, dude? No, thanks. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of dumb where you're literally selling me an NFT of the letter A. I mean, for God's sakes, like, that would be something you would expect Sesame Street would do if they would invest in NFTs. But then, you know what? I'm going to save this one for last. There's a lot to talk about here. But then there's also this one, which honestly, I find the Simpsons one is the weirdest one of them all. Mainly because of the fact that their star NFT for this one is Homer and Bart strangling each other. That, of course we need an NFT of a golden statue that represents a cartoon dad strangling his son. Yeah, that's definitely a positive image right there. Oh yeah, sure, Bart is also strangling Homer, but still, there's something really messed up when you're selling an NFT of a dad strangling his son, like presenting abuse to his own freaking child. Like, I know the context of it all, you know? Like, even though even though that decision I find to be absolutely, like, but I do get the image. I do get how, like, Homer strangling Bart and vice versa and stuff like that. I get that this is supposed to be, like, true Simpsons iconography. This is like a very popular moment of The Simpsons, or very popular imagery that's supposed to truly represent the dysfunctionality of the whole family. I get that. But there's still something about it that really feels like it's just truly messed up. I don't know. The fact that this is an NFT, this is supposed to be a token to go and invest in. There's just a part of me that feels like there's something absolutely messed up about it. Not to mention that that the other NFT is no better. It's literally a vertical skateboard. Why would you want, like, yeah, they're trying to highlight it as Bart's skateboard, but still though, it's an NFT of a vertical skateboard. Is that really the kind of crap that people are seriously investing in? But then, oh man, there's this one. The Pixar one, specifically the WALL-E NFT. Now, this NFT right here, we're not talking about, no. This thing right over here, this, like the WALL-E NFT, we're talking about sheer stupidity and willful ignorance that is on the like, we're talking about a fail that is on the levels of, exactly. It really is that bad. And there is a major reason as to why, like, they could not pick a character that is so much worse for this kind of thing other than WALL-E. Because for those of you who don't know, NFTs are actually very damaging to the environment. I know it sounds crazy because they're just digital tokens. How could they do so much harm to the environment? Well, that's the major thing. Like, yeah, when you have a few people investing in NFTs, the most that it just consumes is just a bit of electricity. But considering that we are at the point where NFTs are bigger than ever, and that certain NFTs can actually cost millions upon millions of dollars, this ends up really growing significantly to the point where the carbon footprint of NFTs have become significantly massive, not only dangerously eating up a lot of electricity, but it also becomes extremely harmful to the environment, like really damaging. Now, I know some people could go and argue that technically, when it comes to VeVe specifically, they are actually putting in efforts to go and actually be more safer to the environment. In fact, VeVe has actually put in a dedication so that they would be the first ever NFT company that would be carbon neutral, that they would find environmentally friendly Man, that is so hard to pronounce to go and pronounce there. Environmentally friendly means to go and actually do their NFT business that doesn't actually harm the environment. So, I mean, technically that is true, but then again, that's like arguing that having a hybrid is better than driving a car, which technically it is true, but then again, you are still harming the environment, not as much as the car, but it's still at the point where, like, in order to be fully environmentally safe, you just don't engage with it whatsoever. And that's the true irony with using WALL-E, especially with the fact that it is a movie that has, like, a pretty significant environmental message out there. Like, it does talk about how industrialism and how consumerism can really be harmful to the environment. And here is WALL-E right now, where it's pretty much being the face of exactly that, of consumerism and industrialism that is harming the environment. And that's why the golden moments are having so much backlash right now, because even Disney is so oblivious to the message of the movie and are just using the lovable robot as just a means to go and, like, really find serious profit. Like, that's just the big thing with all this, and why that one in particular is getting so much backlash. And I will say, yes, I am a major Disney fan, and I would even say I am a lifelong Disney fan. But all this here is absolutely tasteless. But I'm not surprised that Disney is doing this, because at the end of the day, they are still a major corporation, especially when we are in the phase right now where we're in a major transition of leadership from Bob Iger to Bob Chapek. And from there, with Bob Chapek, I know that I've talked about him a while back, mentioning that we will have to wait and see with how he is as a CEO, but the more that he does expose himself and the more that we do see how he runs the company, the more that we see that there is a reason why he is so hated right now, especially when he did infamously state that the reason why he would do many of these actions is because, well, other companies would do the same thing if they have our properties, which, I mean, he's not wrong, but it still is a massively douchey thing to say. And I mean, it really does feel like a soulless excuse to do stuff such as trying to develop NFTs, but again, I'm really not that surprised that Disney would go and take action on this, that they would actually go and create their own NFTs, especially with something like this, to go and capitalize on Star Wars and Marvel and Frozen, and even capitalizing on Walt Disney himself. So honestly, yeah, hell no, I'm not going to invest in it. Like, I'm smart with my money. I'm never going to freaking invest in NFTs whatsoever. Like, the thing is that this whole situation, like, I've already stated this before, but they're all nothing but scams. Like, every NFT story sounds like an episode that's been ripped off from Ed, Edd and Eddy. So yeah, overall though, it really is stupid that Disney is involved with this, but still not surprised that they would do so. I mean, it's Disney, but it is the Walt Disney Company after all. All right, so with that said, let us now go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about Disney golden moments? What do you think about Disney's NFTs? Are you as upset as I am with these things? Do you think that they're an absolute failure? Or are you someone that would be willing to go and invest in these things? Let me know what you all think. Let's see. Any opinions? Anybody's thoughts on these? Okay, there we go. Well, say that I'm not in. Well, I will say that I'm not into NFTs. I don't have ill will towards people that make NFTs. You do you, but they seem too troublesome for me. And as of making WALL-E an NFT, to quote Jacksepticeye, all the irony. It's too much. Also, if you really want to get rid of NFTs, I know how. Make an NFT of cursed videos from the ring and watch the madness come forth. Nah, man, I'm honestly banking for I'm honestly banking all on the I'm banking all on the crypto tax. The thing is, yeah, I get what you mean with the whole video from the ring thing, but the thing is that the ring girl, she would go and consume souls. And I'm going to be very honest, people who do invest in NFTs or they capitalize on NFTs, they have no souls whatsoever. It means nothing to them, and they'll find a way to still capitalize that with their poorly drawn lions and monkeys. So, yeah, honestly, it's just, yeah, I have no sympathy towards those people. I hope they all lose their money. I hope all their stocks plummet. Let's see what else we have here. Perhaps the most ironic thing about this is that out of all the characters in the Pixar pantheon to make into an NFT, they specifically chose WALL-E. Doesn't the very idea of NFTs go against the premise of that film? But again, the whole thing is just entirely stupid. But it's the WALL-E thing that's the biggest slap to the face. So I won't be investing. I have to save money. I'd rather save money for 150 copies of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 on Blu-ray. Thank you very much. Okay, well, dude, I just need to tell you right now, that honestly is not a good investment. I mean, like, putting a bunch on just Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, no, seriously, that's not a cool thing to do with your money. You have to at least invest on the first movie as well. You need an equal amount of Paul Blart Mall Cop 1 movies as well. Now, you could split it either 75 Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 and 75 Paul Blart Mall Cop 1, but you have to make sure you gotta have those two together. The two belong to each other. And I mean, okay, it's understandable if you already have 150 copies of Paul Blart Mall Cop 1. That's perfectly fine. But you need to make sure you have an equal share. You know, you need to have both Paul Blart Mall Cops. Otherwise, it would just feel incomplete, and it would be a bit of a waste of your money if you capitalize all on just one specific Paul Blart Mall Cop movie. So just give you a bit of financial advice right there. Let's see, what else do we have here? All I could say to Disney using NFTs is, why you little... Seriously, why is Disney doing this? NFTs are a big scam, and not to mention the fact that Butch Hartman was one of them. Even though they look good in gold, there's still something off about them. The Simpson NFT looks pretty weird, the WALL-E NFT gives me the creeps, and the statue of Walt Disney and Mickey, oh god, please no. NFTs need to be banned because they damage everything, including money-wise. Well, the thing is that, no, the big goal for NFTs, we shouldn't ban them. We need to make them unprofitable. We need to make them worthless. That's how we are going to kill off NFTs. Not banning them, because there will still be value. And especially nowadays, like, the thing is with NFTs and cryptocurrency, they're right now the Wild West of cryptocurrency. Yeah, you're seeing people making millions of dollars off of them, but that's because there are barely any rules. And considering how there are barely any legal rules that are attached to them, of course, even big companies like Disney would go crazy and they would jump into the market so that they can make a few millions on their own. So yeah, honestly, just want to comment there that we shouldn't be banning them. The big goal is to make them unprofitable, which hopefully the crypto tax can do. Let's see. Honestly, this is truly tasteless. This really does prove how greedy Disney can be sometimes, and it goes to show how Bob Chapek has really not been doing well. Honestly, at this point, when it comes to Disney, we have to learn to separate Disney that makes great quality content and the Disney that is greedy and despicable to cash in on nostalgia and makes bad business decisions sometimes. Exactly. We really live in an age where we have to learn to separate the art from the artist, and that is especially the case when it comes to Disney. To separate, like, we can all still love the movies, we could still love the TV shows, we could still love the rides, and many, many more, but when it comes to the company itself, yeah, screw that thing. Even, like I said, I'm a lifelong Disney fan, and I am not a fan of the company itself. Like, I love all the things that they do, but not the corporation that is being led by Bob Chapek. Let's see what else we got here. I'll read two more comments before we jump into the next one. Why, Disney? Why would you join Paramount and Warner Brothers to make NFTs for the sake of making profits? You answered your own question right there. Biden just signed the infrastructure bill that should put an end to NFTs, so no, I won't join these godforsaken scams. Also, nice cue to use Frolic from Curb Your Enthusiasm for the Wall-E NFT. It's quite fitting. Oh yeah, I know. I got I got my soundboard ready, and I need to go and make the most out of them. Let's see. I'll read one more that we got here. I already read you, but yeah, I'll go here. Short analysis. Capitalizing on an eco-friendly movie like WALL-E is probably one of, if not the worst move done by Chapek. Hey, Bob, empires are eternal. Let that sink in that molten brain of yours. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it would be the worst because, well, we still have to wait and see with what Bob Chapek can do. But yeah, honestly, the decision of WALL-E, it's like, why WALL-E specifically? Why not go for like freaking Buzz Lightyear? That would have been perfect, but WALL-E? My God, Disney, you're really screwed up there. All right, now moving on to the next story, I actually do have one more Disney story right over here, and this one is a little bit of breaking news. This is actually something that has just been announced today. And I didn't have as much time to prepare for this story as much as some of the others, but I feel like this is one where I feel like it really is worth talking about, and I feel like it very much is fascinating. I mean, technically it's theme park news, but it does have a strong link to animation. And what I am talking about is regarding the new version of Mickey's Toontown. Yes, this actually happened just today as I am recording this at the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, where the chairman of Disney Parks Experiences and Products, John DeMauro, has officially revealed that there is going to be a massive update on one of the sections of Disneyland, Mickey's Toontown. Now, you're probably familiar that there are going to be some rides that will be included and will be updated. You're probably familiar with the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin ride, in which that's going to get an update, in which Jessica will have a more prominent role as a detective. And then, of course, there's also going to be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is already a huge hit at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World in Florida. Now Disneyland is going to get their version, and that's going to be in place at Mickey's Toontown. But it looks like amongst all this, however, Toontown itself is going to have a massive renovation, or more of an upgrade, because I'm just going to say this right now. There's nothing really that's going to be fully removed. They're just going to be adding a lot more into it to make Toontown feel new and also more immersive. Just to read you here from my source directly from the Disney Parks blog, it states, building on the legacy of Mickey's Toontown, Imagineers are working to create some all-new experiences so families and young children can have more opportunities to play together inside Disneyland Park. The beloved Mickey's Toontown will transform into a vibrant symphony of sights, sounds, and sensations. Focusing on today's families with young children, Mickey's Toontown will feature new play experiences as well as open grassy play spaces for everyone to unplug. The land will have landscaping for both spontaneous family play and parental relaxation. And to go more specifically on that green area, apparently that little section is going to be called the Centennial Park, in which will also feature a massive tree that is said to be inspired by the tree that a young Walt Disney would go and hang around, where he would go and daydream, to go and inspire people that they could go and relax by this tree. It's not going to be a real tree, by the way. This is actually going to be an artificial tree in which the roots will actually be crafted so that the kids could go and play around with, but it will be a little area for that, for parents and maybe even families all together, that they could go and relax. In fact, let me just go and read this part right over here, since that actually does go into more details about what I'm talking about. One of the new areas coming to Mickey's Toontown will be Centennial Park, the first space guests will see when they enter. This natural space will be anchored by two interactive play experiences. At the center of Centennial Park will be a fountain designed for play, which will also become the center icon for Mickey's Toontown. As its base, water tables will invite guests to play with the water and have a sensory experience. At night, the fountain will be brought to life in a unique spectacle. A nearby dreaming tree will be inspired by a tree that a young Walt Disney would daydream under his hometown. Sculpted tree roots will provide an opportunity for children to play, crawl, and explore, and utilizing topography will offer rolling hills and a place to sit and dream. Now, amongst all this, they did reveal that apparently in March of 2022, that's when they're going to go and fully close off Mickey's Toontown to go and do the full-on renovation while also including all the new rides. And that's when they're going to go and reopen it in the following year in March of 2023. And I will say this is actually a pretty intriguing experience over here. Now, I know that it kind of sounds a little bit weird that they will have a bit of what is essentially a resting area, especially in a place that can be as crammed up and as busy as Disneyland, where it feels next to impossible to even find a space where you could just sit down and relax. But honestly, like, considering that it is just small things that they are going to be adding in, especially with that Centennial Park, I think personally this is just absolutely genius. That, like, considering, like I said before, that Disneyland can be an extremely busy place, and that, like, you know, it could be quite stressful for parents and for families that they would have to go and run around and hop onto the next ride, or they got to use their lightning lanes pass to go into the next ride or whatever, or that they got to continuously wait in line for sometimes hours on end. Still, though, having a place where they could just sit back, kick back, and relax, I personally feel like that is actually a wonderful idea. I think this is actually a great idea to encourage a place where they could just sit back, relax, and they could relax in an area where it's actually built to feel like a legitimate park. You know, the funny thing is that this is more like the Central Park of Disneyland, where, yeah, it can be crammed up, it can be busy, but they do offer a more natural area with trees and grass and stuff like that, where people can just go and relax. And again, I do find that to be pretty genius. And especially with the fact that for kids, you know, sometimes they could be pretty hyped up, you know, they don't want to ever stop and they want to go crazy. Like, there will be little play areas, and especially, like, that is what Toontown is pretty much made for. I mean, yeah, there are places where, like, yeah, there are some legitimate rides, whether it be the Rescue Rangers little roller coaster or Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. But still, it is an area that is made more for children, where they would go explore and they would go and play around with little elements in places that are said to be the homes of the classic characters. Like, you could get on Donald's boat, or in Mickey's house, or in Minnie's house, or in Goofy's house, or whatever. It's made to be an area where small kids can go and play if they are too small for some of the more intense rides, like Big Thunder Mountain, or Splash Mountain, or Space Mountain, or even if the rides like Pirates of the Caribbean would be a little too intense for them. At least they got a little area for their own where they could just have fun in this colorful cartoon world where it's said to be where Mickey Mouse is. So at least they do have that. And considering that they are expanding on that idea, I think this is this is honestly great. And I think amongst all the places at Disneyland specifically, yeah, it's absolutely Mickey's Toontown that definitely needed the most in terms of renovation. I know some people could debate on that, and maybe they'll say, like, yeah, Tomorrowland needs a revamp, or Adventureland needs a reboot a bit, or something like that. But I think Toontown, yeah, it needs to be updated, because for the most part, it often feels like the whole place has been neglected in terms of having new additions and stuff like that. Like, really, the only new things that they had in there were the stuff that opened around that time when, like, in the early 1990s or around that ballpark. with rides like Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin or the Rescue Rangers Kids Roller Coaster. Like, they needed something to at least give it a boost, to at least update it, to say that, yeah, they need to, like, really improve this, to really say that this is Mickey's Toontown, to bring Mickey's Toontown to the 21st century, actually. That's the funny thing to go and mention. Yeah, there are some touch-ups here and there that the Imagineers would continuously do, but in this case here, I feel like there needs to be like a new, like, update to really feel like Toontown is fresh, to make Toontown feel like it's new, to make it feel exciting again, of the whole purpose of this is where, Mickey and Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and all the other cartoons, this is where they live. And especially and kind of ironic in a way, considering that they are making a massive update, and a significant addition that they are going to do, other than Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, is that they're going to have a relaxing area with, with a big tree and grass, and just a place where they can lay around and relax. And also, I just want to say that, considering that they have the lightning lanes, and people would have to wait until it's going to be their turn to go in there. Like, that little park right there, that does serve as a pretty nice relaxing place. Like, whether it be after going into an intense ride, or after going through like a crazy ride like Cartoon Spin, or coming soon with Runaway Railway, they'll have a place they could just kick back, or they could wait until it's their turn to go into that ride. So honestly, overall for me, I don't necessarily have as much thoughts on this as I have with the previous story so far, but honestly, this feels like the nice addition, or the nice update that Toontown in general really does need. Yeah, considering that they are going to be adding in their next big attraction in that area with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, why not go and actually fix up the rest of Toontown as well? Make that feel, put that elevate it, and like actually update it to feel fresh, to feel new, to give it a really good reason to actually go and visit it, other than a place to wait until it's your turn to go into the next big attraction like Space Mountain or whatever. Honestly, I'm on board with this. This actually feels like a nice idea to make like a specific area for the younger crowd. So yeah, you know what? I'm excited for this. I'm curious to see what Disney has in store with it when this is going to be coming out in 2023. And with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to have your thoughts. What do you think about the updated Mickey's Toontown? Are you guys on board with this? Are you guys not sure about this idea? Let me know what you all think on this. All right, any comments? Let's see here. This rebranding is interesting, even though I have never been there before. But yeah, Disney really has a very genius idea with this. My siblings would definitely be hyper. So whenever we would come back to Florida, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty much on board with this idea. So yeah, despite NFTs, good on you, Disney. Well, this is not going to be for Walt Disney World. This is going to be for Disneyland in California. And yeah, so like I can imagine this will be a great, yeah, like for hyper kids, absolutely, or for parents with hyper kids, they can have a break while kids can just run around like on the trees, or like they could go and visit like the houses of Mickey and Goofy or whatever. So at least there is that. Let's see. Let's see. I may not be American, but with all the financial problems running through America, like cargo transportation, inflation soaring, corporations siphoning the tiniest dime of an average citizen's salary, I don't think that going back to Disneyland or any major theme park is the top priority for the average American family. Yeah, well, I mean, I think they will anyways. Like, they're still gonna, like, nothing's really gonna stop them from having a trip to Disneyland, so, or even Disney World. So I'm just laying it out there. Let's see now. As a Disney Parks fan, this looks like this could be the perfect place to kick back and take a break. I haven't rode the Runaway Railway ride yet, gee, thanks COVID, but it's the perfect attraction for the area. I mean, they just go hand in hand. So if I don't get a chance to visit the California park, they really got to bring this to the Orlando park so I could just vibe there and take a break from it all. I normally bring an Olaf plush, but with that business back in 2019, I'm gonna not. Yeah, honestly, that would be a nice thing to have also in Orlando. But the trick is just to figure out where. I mean, Disney, like, I think it's been more than a decade. I think it's been around a decade now since Disney did lose Mickey's Toontown Fair. Like, that is unfortunately all gone. So they don't have their version of Toontown. So where can we really put a relaxing area? The most that I could think of is like maybe somewhere in Epcot, and I know there are several places like the Land or Living with the Seas or whatever, that there are some like resting areas, a place where you can relax. But I mean specifically with grass and where you would have like a field like this where you could just kick back and just take it easy. I think honestly either Epcot, like in the center of it all, or you could also have Animal Kingdom, where you would have that kind of area where like you could just relax on the grass and be next to like some big tree that the kids could go and interact with if they're still hyper. So that's honestly the big debate. If they would have something like Centennial Park in Orlando, the trick is going to find out where can you actually place it and actually feel right, like that fits with the atmosphere. Let's see what else we have here. This is definitely a very nice idea. Toontown definitely is one of the most forgotten areas in Disneyland, so I definitely do think giving it an update and make it for younger crowds is great. Now, if only they could fix that issue with Genie Plus. Oh yeah, honestly, I wish that could be something that Disney could go and revise or resolve or whatever, but unless the mass would give Disney backlash for this, I don't think there would be enough voices amongst the entire Disney community for Disney to go and actually listen to. Unfortunately, yeah, like the Disney community is big, but it's not big enough to actually go and make significant changes for Disney. Like, yeah, they can have a few chances that they got lucky, like with adding Figment to Journey into Imagination after they replaced the original ride. But in the case of Genie Plus, it's hard to imagine that Disney would go and change that because it got backlash from the Disney community. Let's see, who else do we have here? I'm pretty on board with this idea. Although I've never gone to Toontown, it's very surprising to hear that the Land is getting a big upgrade. It's very nice that they added a tree and a resting area for parents to relax. I'm pretty excited that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is coming, so let's cross our fingers, hoping that Toontown will be very fun and fresh again. All right, I think I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story. Okay, let's go with this one. I love how Disneyland is going to make some changes to prepare the debut of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, a new interactive park, an updated Roger Rabbit ride, and a new ride. I hope there is an update to Mickey's house and more. Unfortunately, they did not specify if they are going to be changing things directly on the houses. Like, I can imagine there might be some refurbishment, but I don't know if they're going to really update it to the point that things are going to change in the houses of like Mickey and Minnie and Donald and stuff like that. So I think that is going to be a thing that we will have to wait and see. But overall, though, I think this is actually a very nice update. I think this is a very well needed change and update that has been debatably long overdue. So if you are excited for the new changes that are going to be happening in Mickey's Toontown, along with the addition of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and maybe even with the update of Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, then all you have to do is wait until 2023. Is it March of 2023? Just want to double check. Okay, well, they just specified that it's just 2023. So, yeah, just wait for that year. All right, so For our next story we have over here. Now, we are pretty much done with all the Disney stories, but this one I just want to have a bit of a commentary on, because this was actually something that a lot of people in the cartoon community, they have discussed about. This started out as just a bit of a response on Tumblr, but it really grew significantly, and it really does reflect upon a major update regarding a fan favorite creator, considering that this is someone who made a pretty popular show on Cartoon Network back in the mid 2000s, or during the start to the mid 2000s. And who I am referring to is none other than Maxwell Atoms. Yes, the creator of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. So why is it that I'm talking about Maxwell Atoms here? Well, apparently, what happened was that on his Tumblr account, there was an anonymous user that asked him about if he had any ideas for any upcoming TV shows, specifically if they would be involved with Adult Swim. Like, if he would go to Adult Swim and pitch some ideas, would he have any? And he did put out a response over here, so I'm going to read it directly from his Twitter account as it states, "I have a couple of ideas that I think would kill on Adult Swim. But since the current president is the guy who gave me a public dressing down for ruining Cartoon Network's brand with my hateful fart cartoon before promptly firing me, such a collaboration seems incredibly unlikely." So some people might be shocked, like, what? Like, apparently right now, the president of Adult Swim has a bit of a hatred for Maxwell Atoms to the point of actually firing him. What is he talking about specifically? Well, apparently that is regarding whom again is now the president of Adult Swim, and, well, technically the interim president of several different factors of the kids and families section of Warner Brothers, including Cartoon Network, Michael Whelan, who is also known as the creator of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. And what Maxwell Atoms is talking about specifically is during the period when Whelan was actually the senior vice president of development and programming at Cartoon Network from 2006 and 2008. Now, keep in mind, Michael Whelan is a Cartoon Network veteran. He has literally been with the network ever since the very beginning of the channel, ever since its inception back in 1992. And from there was a very short period when he was the VP of Development and Programming, and it was on that period specifically where he did kick out Maxwell Atoms, apparently having a hatred for the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Not to mention that, coincidentally, you probably remember back in 2008 that there was a bit of a spin-off movie that happened called Underfist Halloween Bash that featured several side characters from Billy and Mandy, where they would work together and kind of like be their own superhero team in a way. But that was supposed to be a spin-off series of its own, but that ultimately never came to be. So from there, it seems like there might also be a link where Maxwell Atoms' firing also happened at the same time when he wanted to try to grow the Billy and Mandy franchise with Underfist. And that's when, like, I guess during the end of Whelan's time as VP of Development and Programming, that's when he, one of the last big things that he has done was kick out Maxwell Atoms. Now, from there, what does make it pretty interesting is actually the fact that this, of course, did receive a lot of backlash from the cartoon community, mainly because of the treatment that Maxwell Atoms has received. I mean, it is safe to say that nowadays, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy has become a fan favorite and, in some ways, a nostalgic property from Cartoon Network. And some might expect that maybe one day, like, considering we are seeing so many different reboots of of different shows happening, like including on channels like Cartoon Network, that maybe one day we'll see the comeback of Billy and Mandy. And there was even at one point, we almost had one actually. There was, I think, a TV movie that Maxwell Atoms proposed to bring back Billy and Mandy. In fact, I think it says so right over here to give an update on what happened to Maxwell Atoms after being fired from Cartoon Network, where it says, since leaving Cartoon Network, Atoms has worked at Disney on Fish Hook and at Warner Brothers Animation on Bunnicula, Teen Titans Go, and 2 Scooby-Doo movies. He attempted to produce an independent post-apocalyptic adult puppet show called Dead Meat via Kickstarter, but the production fell apart due to issues with expenses and contracts. He's been on good enough terms with the current Cartoon Network management outside of Adult Swim to attempt to pitch a Billy and Mandy sequel movie this past summer, though the pitch was ultimately rejected due to kids today not being familiar enough with the series. So but going back to what I was talking about, it did receive a lot of significant backlash, especially with the way that it has been, that Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy has been labeled as a hateful fart cartoon. Now, let's be honest, that is a pretty broad term, and some people, maybe they could debate that there is a bit of that little mean-spirited tone that is in Billy and Mandy. But then again, calling it a hateful fart cartoon, that seems a little bit confusing. Like, why would you say a hateful fart cartoon? Especially since after Billy and Mandy, Cartoon Network did actually have a prominent history of putting up cartoons that, well, some of the humor can include some farting. Like, one prominent example is actually Teen Titans Go. And for how many years that it's been on television and with the amount of episodes that it had, I'm sure there are a handful of episodes that not only have farting in them, but they would use a prominent amount of farting jokes. And this is not to mention, there was also the one infamous episode from Total Drama-Rama. And you guys probably know what I'm talking about regarding that episode of Total Drama-Rama. And yes, I mean this one in particular. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop here because apparently this little scene just kept on going. Like, it's a whole montage of just kids farting, and you got this weird guy just smelling their farts and getting like kind of this sensual joy out of it. But to give you a little bit of context, this is apparently an episode from season 2 of Total Drama-Rama called Total Eclipse of the Fart, where instead of getting the Tooth Fairy, they end up getting a Toot Fairy. More specifically, this guy who is a fart fairy who apparently sucks up people's farts, so I think like they don't end up smelling or whatever. But yeah, like in the episode, a very infamous moment that a lot of people have talked about is this particular scene here where we just see kid after kid farting and this fairy just going around just sniffing it and getting joy out of that. Now, granted, I will say that technically this all happened after Michael Whelan's time as the VP. Like, this all happened way before. So yeah, like Cartoon Network nowadays does have a prominent fart history, but that was after Michael Whelan could do anything about it. But then again, that like during his period between 2006 and 2008, that is still a bit of a relevant time where we do actually see some shows that are being released where debatably they do have some fart humor of their own. Shows like Chowder or The Misadventures of Flapjack as well. I mean, maybe there could be some people that might correct me and say, well, actually, neither of those shows actually have any fart humor, but they would still have that kind of level of toilet humor involved in there. Like, they would not shy away to go on that level of comedy. But still, though, like, it just feels rather vague and confusing the way that he would label it as a hateful fart cartoon, and even accusing Billy and Mandy for saying that that show in particular is ruining Cartoon Network's brand. I think honestly, this is a moment where we would need to know a bit more about Michael Whelan's opinion on it. I don't think he would really be in a mood to fully go and actually discuss about this, and especially when at the end of the day, technically, this is just about his opinion on a Cartoon Network show. And I mean, like, honestly, I wouldn't scold him too much on it because, yeah, at the end of the day, it is his opinion. Like, yeah, if he's not a fan of Billy and Mandy, well, that is fine. I think the real dicketry about all this is the fact that it like, because of his opinion on Billy and Mandy, it really is hindering on Maxwell Atoms's opportunities. That because he is kind of in bad terms with someone who is in a very high position at not just Adult Swim, but also Cartoon Network in general, because of his sentiments towards the show that he created, well, this is why, honestly, nowadays we don't really hear as much from someone like Maxwell Atoms as much as other show creators that are still making quite a name for themselves in the animation community, rather it be like Craig McCracken that's still making major shows like Wander Over Yonder or Kid Cosmic, or even Gendy Tartakovsky that is still making, that even though like he is still working at Sony Animation, he still has time to go and make shows like Primal and Unicorn as well, which the latter is still coming soon. It is very unfortunate, and especially for me, in my opinion, Billy and Mandy was one of those shows that even I enjoyed as a kid. Like during my later years as a kid, when I would watch Cartoon Network, Billy and Mandy was one of those shows that I would still go in and still enjoy and watch. I remember I was there since like literally the very beginning when it was Billy and when it was Grim and Evil. You know, like when you would have some stories that are based on that are more about Grimm with Billy and Mandy, and then you would have the other stories that are about Evil Con Carnage, when you would have those plot lines right there. So honestly, I would love, me personally, I would love to see more shows coming from Maxwell Atoms or him creating more different projects. But unfortunately, he's in a position where the industry has unfortunately not been kind to him. And that is something, unfortunately, we would have to expect, not just from the animation industry, but the entertainment industry in general, where there will be some people that won't have as better treatment as some significant others. And unfortunately, Maxwell Atoms would be on that list, even though he would be credited as a great creator of a popular Cartoon Network show. It really is unfortunate, though, and hearing the excuses to why, like, there is a part of it that is petty, but there's also something about it that feels kind of sad as well. Now, I'm not saying we should all feel pity for Maxwell Atoms. Like, maybe he's still okay with his life. Maybe he's happy with whatever projects that he is working on and the position that he's in. And I mean, he still managed to actually direct some works. There are some projects that do prominently have his name, like some of the direct-to-DVD Scooby-Doo movies. But still, though, I would one day like to see Maxwell Atoms actually make some prominent projects. And even though maybe his chances of opportunities are very minimal in Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network, I can imagine maybe there could be other companies that could give him a second chance. Like, he already got a chance with Disney where he got to work on Fishhook. But if he does have some killer ideas, as much as he claims that would fit well with Adult Swim, maybe pitch it to Adult Swim's biggest competitor in the adult animation market. Go to Netflix. Go and tell them about the idea that you may have, and maybe they will go and pick it up. Especially, the marketing kind of writes itself that they would have a new adult animated series from the creator of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And I mean, they have been, they have been pretty consistent with that right now. I mean, they already did so with, they already did that with Alex Hirsch, where they got the creator of Gravity Falls to go and create a new adult animated series. And we have seen that trend going on, not just with him, but also with with Quintel, the creator of the creator of Regular Show, where he ended up making his own adult animated series for HBO Max, and that turned out to be a massive success. And some people are even suggesting maybe even FX or Hulu. Those could also be JG Quintel. Thank you. Those could also be optional. And some people are even trying to correct me and say that it's not Evil Con Carnage, it's Evil Con Carne. I was close. You gotta admit, I was close, but still. There are plenty of opportunities that he could go forth. And I mean, I think like if there is going to be a new Maxwell Atoms series, whether it be for kids or adults, I think a lot of people would definitely welcome it with open arms. But still, though, I think that like this whole story here does highlight a pretty harsh reality regarding the animation industry and the entertainment industry, where it can be cruel. It can be pretty harsh. And like, even though your project can have a prominent fan base, there are going to be others and some powerful people that will strike it down and call it something like a hateful fart cartoon. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what are your thoughts regarding the whole Maxwell Atoms situation and how he was treated with his cartoon being labeled as a hateful fart cartoon? Let me know your opinions on that. Okay, what do we have here? I didn't watch a lot of Billy and Mandy, but all that fart hate is really unwarranted. Flatulence are part of our digestive system. How would you evacuate what you ate other than the bottom exit? Really? Are we going into the everybody poops argument there? Anyways, visual farting might be cringy. Thank God there's no 193120 involved number letter. Wordplay on farting is a bit more acceptable, in my opinion. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see what we got here. I never watched Billy and Mandy, but calling it a hateful fart cartoon sounds dumb and confusing. But at the end of the day, it was just an opinion. I hope Maxwell Atoms will move on and do great things in his career. He does make great cartoons, such as Bunnicula, in which it was a great adaptation. Excuse me. As for Cartoon Network's legacy of fart jokes, it was a huge can of worms. Heck, the total eclipse of the fart episode was so disgusting, and how the fart fairy sniffing kids' farts and feeling happy. Well, one thing that I will say that technically could count as a defense for Cartoon Network is that technically, considering that it is a part of the Total Drama series, like, it's not technically made for Cartoon Network. Like, it is technically primarily made for Canada and for the Canadian channel Cartoon Network, so maybe it's more of a Teletoon thing, more so than it is a Cartoon Network thing. But still, though, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that it is kind of gross and nasty, that scene right there. All right, let's see what else we got here. As someone who loves Billy and Mandy, and learning about this just freaking sucks. Michael Whelan just seems pretty petty with calling his show a hateful fart cartoon, especially when some of their other shows have a good amount of fart jokes. If he didn't seem that petty at all, maybe he could provide a better explanation, like Billy and Mandy, probably being too dark for audiences nowadays. Now, if you excuse me, I need a neuralizer so that I can forget about that clip of Total Drama. Yeah, I don't blame you there, dude. Let's see what else we got here. Billy and Mandy was my favorite Cartoon Network show next to Ed, Edd and Eddy, and I'm ticked off that the CEO's decision. Well, he's not the CEO, he's the president. That's different. This is like how Animaniacs got canceled back in the late 1990s despite its popularity. It was when Jamie Keller, an Animaniacs hater, just became CEO of Warner Brothers and enforced a huge cancellation on the Amblin Warner Brothers cartoon, and he would also greenlight Pinky, Elmira, and The Brain. This might also be the reason why Cartoon Network refused to a revival of codenamed Kids Next Door, despite the creator's wishes. I mean, that one is a completely different story, but yeah, I mean, you would be surprised how, like, some opinions can be a massive influence. It just requires one person, one powerful person, to say, I don't like this show, and yeah, some people could say, well, that's just your opinion, but his opinion definitely matters that matters much more than the viewer, and that could be enough of a reason to just take the show down, which is exactly what happened with Billy and Mandy, along with the Underfist idea. All right, I think I'll read one more comment before we move on to the grand finale, or two more stories, actually. Two more comments, sorry. It just goes to show that executives are real dream crushers. I've never been a big fan of Billy and Mandy, but yeah, I will say to this clown, you called out a kid's show for farting. How brave. I only hope for the best for Maxwell's future and hope he does get back up again like that freaking troll song. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, it's not like he's down in the dumps. Like, yeah, he's not in a high point of his career, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing bad in terms of his career, you know? Like, I'm sure he's still doing fine. He's still making a living working in animation, but still, like, as much as I would say that it would be nice to see Maxwell Atoms make another animated series, I'm not saying that, like, oh, we should throw sympathy at him and, like, oh, poor him, he's no longer in his heyday, like, now he's just a nobody, you know? I'm not saying that at all. Let's see, one more comment here. As a fan of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I feel sorry for Adams for how he was treated in this day and age. I think they should treat Adams more with respect since he did make one of my childhood Cartoon Network shows. I hope he's doing okay. Well, like I said, I think he's doing fine right now. I think he's doing okay. But still, though, that doesn't mean that he didn't get any harsh treatments, you know? So I thought it would be just an interesting discussion piece to bring forth in this, for this episode. All right, everyone, this is it. It is now time for the grand finale. And man, do we have a big one for you today. And with this one, I gotta say, this has been highly requested ever since this was revealed. This was actually something that technically a lot of people have already talked about this. Most people on the internet, I'd even say, have already put out a comment or have expressed their full thoughts on this. And that's why I have been heavily requested. This is one of the most requested stories for me to talk about in this podcast so far, or at least one of the most requested ones. So without further ado, folks, let's actually get into it. Let's actually talk about my thoughts on this. Let's get into the YouTube dislikes. Yes, last week, YouTube has officially announced that they are going to be removing the dislike count on all videos. Now, I'm just going to state this right now, that this is not something that will happen immediately. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, then there's probably a chance that you could still see the dislike count right underneath this video. That is a possibility. But that is because YouTube has said that this is going to be a gradual process, that slowly but surely you are going to see dislikes disappearing, or at least the dislike count completely disappearing. Now, this was apparently something that they did forewarn, that they did experiment in March to see how things are going to work out, to see if this would even be a good idea to get rid of the dislike count altogether. And apparently they seem to be satisfied with this idea, which did result them in making this decision, this highly controversial decision. So what is it that is going on specifically? Well, the big thing that they have stated is that the reason why they're getting rid of the dislike count is that and by the way, they're only getting rid of the dislike count. They are still technically keeping the dislike button, but the biggest reason why they're getting rid of the count is that they want to discourage and they want to find a way to stop review bombing and harassment. Now, we all know how review bombing can be a very controversial thing, especially nowadays when it has become a very common tactic for Trump supporting groups and for alt-right groups and for hate groups in general, that they would go around review bombing in order to attack a specific film or a specific project for the sake of pushing their own narrative, for the sake of desperately pushing their own political agenda. And we probably know a whole bunch of popular examples out there. Review bombing has happened for projects such as Star Wars The Last Jedi, There's been a lot of it on Captain Marvel. There's been a lot of review bombing on that Anthony Fauci documentary on Disney Plus, I believe. It is a part of National Geographic, but that has been review bombed. Even just recently with High Guardian Spice, that has been a massive victim of review bombing from conservative hate groups because of the fact that it is a more progressive show. The fact that there are some LGBT representations in there, there's some trans representations in there, and that the project is mostly worked on by women. And we all know how Trump supporters have a hatred for women and how much they want to beat those women up. But anyways, with all that said and done, that's basically the big goal that they want to do, is to go and discourage review bombing so that they don't see the fruit of their labor, that it would feel absolutely pointless to go and press the dislike button because they don't see the count. They don't see if it actually does affect anything. In fact, I'll go and read specifically from my source here on The Verge, where I do see that, yeah, okay, so, I'll go more into details about what this all means, but it says here, YouTube says that when it tested hiding dislike numbers, people were less likely to use the button to attack the creator, commenting, "I just came here to dislike," was seemingly less satisfying when you don't actually get to see the number go up. That behavior may still continue to some extent, though, as creators will be able to see the dislike number on their for their own videos in YouTube Studio. The company says this still lets well-meaning viewers leave private feedback to content creators or use dislikes to tune the algorithm's video recommendation. And by the way, I just want to say this right now. I will get to it a little bit later, but even on the video that they did explain why they're getting rid of the dislike count, they even stated that no, this is not because of the backlash that they have received from the YouTube Rewind video from 2018. Like, I think to this day, that is actually considered the most disliked video in YouTube's history. And even back then, a lot of people have assumed that because of the backlash YouTube has received, that this could mean they could take action and they would do something like this, where they could just get rid of the dislike button altogether. But ultimately, this is something in which a lot of people have forewarned because of that. But even YouTube did state that no, they're not doing it because of that backlash. They want to make it clear that, like, what happened in the past there is not the reason why they are doing this. Now, if I may go and just give out this little quick piece of my thoughts, I will say that as a YouTuber myself, I would lie if I said that I did not feel any relief from this news. Like, there honestly is a little bit of a part of me that is kind of happy to see that this news actually did happen, that they are technically getting rid of the functionality of the dislike button. It's still there, but kind of the whole purpose of it is pretty much all gone because, number one, yes, there is like review bombing that it's going to heavily discourage and that it would pretty much render it useless. Now, like, pressing the dislike button, it won't really do much. You won't see the number. You won't see how people are just like jumping in so that they could just continuously press the dislike button just to go and attack the creator or like try to form a hate mob and stuff like that. And like, trust me, I've been a victim of review bombing and that kind of hate mob mentality a few times, especially when calling out Vic Mignogna and how some of his supporters like Nick Riccietta and Hiro Hey are nothing but scammers. But even though I've had that experience myself, at least knowing that they're getting rid of the dislike button, that actually does feel refreshing, that like it won't be happening on YouTube anymore because, well, there's no point in review bombing whatsoever. Like, even if they would even if they go and put out a comment, well, comments are actually manageable. You can actually go and delete comments. You can actually get rid of some of the toxic ones or even full on report them if they go a little too extreme with their hatred. So there is that possibility. Then I feel like there is a bit of my mental health that I actually do feel like it is it is something that I feel like will be for refreshing, and dislikes won't be something that I would have to go and worry about, that I won't have to be concerned to see when a video would get like a certain amount of dislikes, because as a reviewer, I know that there are many people out there who use the dislike button in a way that feels extremely petty. Like, you know that there are people on the internet, they would go and press the dislike button because they didn't agree with my opinion, regardless of how the review is, regardless of what the quality is, or regardless of how well articulated the reviewer would be. There are people who would go and say, I don't agree with what you say in that video. I like this movie when you don't, or I hate this movie when you do. So I'm going to go and put I'm going to press the dislike button to show my satisfaction. You know, there are definitely a lot of people who do have that mentality. So at least by pressing the dislike, by getting rid of that dislike number, at least like I don't have to question like, oh, why isn't this getting as much likes as other videos? Or why is the ratio lower than some of the others? Because like, I know like even this year, there have been some reviews where like there have been people who press the dislike button often, like my reviews of either Arlo the Alligator Boy, Wish Dragon, or oddly enough, America the Motion Picture. I don't know if it's because of its fans or if it's calling out American revisionism or stuff like that, but still, like at least it no longer has to be an issue anymore, and that like I can even put my mental health at ease that dislikes will no longer be much of a concern because there won't be much of a use of it on YouTube. Now, with that said, though, does this mean that I agree with this decision? Does this mean that I support YouTube for getting rid of the function of the dislike button? Absolutely freaking not! This is a terrible idea. Like, I do have my personal positives on it, but there's a lot of this that are just massively negative. Like, there's just so much of it that just feels absolutely wrong. Like, one thing that I will say right now is that everybody knows for a fact that when YouTube says that they're doing it for small creators, that's a flat out lie. We all know for a fact that this is for big companies. It's for big corporations that would use YouTube as a marketing tool. The big corporations that pay YouTube for their advertisements. You know that YouTube cares more about them than they do creators like me or whatever. Like, you know, they're doing it for companies like Disney instead of for creators like Mars Girl, who would be continuously harassed by Vic Mignogna fanboys on like a daily basis even. But the thing is with YouTube, the reason why they're getting rid of the dislike count, they're doing this for companies like Disney so that people don't know about the hatred that is against services like Genie Plus. It's for companies like Sony so that they don't have to face a similar backlash like they did with the 2016 Ghostbusters and the Emoji Movie. It's for companies like Nintendo so that people don't know about how much of a bad idea it is to go and put up a $50 price tag for the Nintendo Online expansion pack. And I will say, yes, it is for companies like YouTube so that they don't have to face the backlash that they got for YouTube Rewind. Like I said before, like, maybe I could believe them if they say that it's not because of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if their reasoning for doing this has been heavily influenced because of what happened with YouTube Rewind. Like I said before, there have been people who predicted that because YouTube got a taste of the backlash and the angry mob that went against them because they made such a terrible video, that one day they would just get rid of dislikes altogether. That this would be something that they would go and predict in the future. And lo and behold, it turns out to be legitimately correct. So we all know for a fact that this is a decision that they have made for big name creators instead of the small creators. You know, it's not made for people like me. It's made for companies like Disney, Sony, Nintendo, and what have you. It's for them to go and make the dislike button completely useless. And I can understand that when it comes to some of the positives that I do state here, I can understand if some people would disregard them and they would call this pretty petty of me. You know, that I would say it's petty that, yay, my videos won't get as much dislikes. I get that. I completely understand. But then again, the thing is that, yeah, there won't be much dislikes anymore for all the wrong reasons. Now, this may sound a bit too diplomatic of me, but in a way, getting rid of the dislike count, it really does feel like it's taking away a lot of people's freedom of speech. Because when people would go and hit the dislike button, they're not doing it, you know, they're not doing that towards the creator. They're not trying to send a message to the creator. They're sending a message to everyone else to go and express their thoughts that they were not entertained, they were not satisfied with the video that they saw, so they would go and hit the dislike button and just go from there. They would just go and contribute on their ratio that they're more on the dislike side than the like side. And that could honestly lead to some very dangerous results. You probably heard several examples from people by saying that one thing that this is going to seriously affect and that this is going to seriously mess up on is going to be tutorial videos. Now, I myself have used a lot of tutorial videos, especially when it comes to editing, to know how to do some cool tricks, rather it be like green screen effects or how to do proper editing to make it more time efficient and more, to make it easier for me as well. Often I would go and look at tutorials, and a major indicator before even watching the video would be seeing the like and dislike bar, like to see the ratio between likes and dislikes. And often I have seen where the dislikes, they can really outweigh the likes. And that's an indicator right there to show that this tutorial is useless and it's not helpful at all. So that's why it's best to move out and find something else that has a lot more likes than there would be dislikes. Without them, we would have no idea if the tutorials would actually be helpful or not. Like, we would have to scramble through the comments if someone would even have the energy to go and write down a comment that it didn't actually work out. And even at that, again, with the comments, that is actually manageable, where the people of that account who uploaded that video, they could just simply delete it. So even like whatever bad press there would be, they can actually go and completely hide it. So tutorial videos are going to be seriously messed up by this, because the big permanent indicator if it's actually helpful or not, that is actually going to be completely gone, because they took away people's voices of the fact that they're not happy or satisfied with it. Again, this is kind of a violation of freedom of speech, because now people won't know if people actually disliked it unless they would go and write it down in the comment section. And especially the fact that it's kind of weird that in a way they're still like, yeah, they're getting rid of the function of the dislike and getting rid of the count, but even though like they still have the dislike button, and there is still that, like, there's still going to be that side on the YouTube, there's still going to be that side on the YouTube studio where you can see the ratio between likes and dislikes. So even my argument about my mental health can be like shot out the window, because you can still see the amount of dislikes. In a way, it's just not going to be completely public. And by that point, all I'm asking is, well, if you are going to get rid of the big function of dislikes, the whole purpose of it, then really, what's the point of keeping it all together? Like, what's the point of having it there? And that's why, honestly, the more that I do think about it, the more that I do realize that this is the worst way that YouTube could actually approach this situation. I think what YouTube is doing right now with these dislikes, I think it's much worse than just getting rid of the dislike button altogether, like completely disabling it and just making it completely gone. Because the thing is, YouTube is not just getting rid of the dislike button, they're replacing it with the illusion of a dislike button. Like the whole purpose of the dislike button right now, like, it's rendered completely useless. There's no count on it. There's no ratio to determine if it is liked or if it is disliked. Yeah, they say that there is that there is that function that dislikes are going to go and like help the algorithm for your recommendations and stuff like that. But people don't actually care about it. Right now, the dislike button, it's just absolutely useless. It might as well just here's the thing. You might as well press the dislike button and all it'll do is just, yeah, that's it. I mean, like, even with that delay right there, it's just so, like, it really is just a pointless button. It might as well just be a freaking fidget button. Like, it's just there to fidget as you're just watching that video. That's all the use that it has. It's not really going to count into the amount of likes and dislikes because, well, I mean, you're not going to see it anyways. And even in terms of the creator, like, most of them, I can guarantee you, the majority of them, especially for big companies whom YouTube is doing it for, they're not going to see the ratio anyways. They're not going to care to go and see the amount of likes and dislikes or the engagement that it would have. They honestly do not give a crap about that whatsoever. So really, at the end of the day, like, even for the function of why it's still there in the first place, it's going to be useless because most creators, including big name companies, they're going to ignore that altogether. So overall, though, yeah, even though I do have my own personal positives in seeing this, this really is such a terrible idea that's taking away a lot of people's voices, especially taking away the voices of the viewer, to take away the voices of audiences for the sake, it really is just for the purpose so that dislikes are no longer a PR problem for big name corporations, that they could put out whatever they want and they won't hear the backlash because, well, there are no voices for people who are negative. It really is kind of a toxic positivity decision that they made on this. And I'm just going to warn you right now. I think personally, this could be just the beginning. I think in the future, we could legitimately see more stuff like this, where user ratings will become more and more a thing of the past, where any popular website that would have some kind of user rating, or they would have their own likes and dislike bar or something like that, they're going to take that away completely so that viewers don't go and, like, you know, encourage review bombs or stuff like that. Like, it has already been done before. I mean, YouTube is not the first one to do so. Like, Netflix has already done something like this, where they used to start off with their star rating, where they used to do the 5-star thing, kind of like with the origins of YouTube, and then they moved on with a like and dislike ratio bar, and then, well, they still got likes and dislikes, but really, they don't have the number with it. Like, we don't have the audience's reactions or the audience's opinion on all this. So YouTube has also done so as well. And even I can imagine in the future, we are going to see more websites get rid of their user ratings so that they don't become a victim of review bombing. Like, I'll say this right now, the next one that's going to go, it's going to be audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes. That is that is often considered to be a prime target when it comes to review bombers. So I can imagine there will come a day where Rotten Tomatoes is ultimately going to make that decision to just slash off the user ratings on that thing, and people would just go, and they'll only leave the voice, the only prominent voice that will be on the website are just the critics' voices and literally nothing else. I think that's going to be the next one to go. And honestly, yes, I do understand that review bombing can be a serious problem, especially when people are using it in order to advance a political agenda. Rather it be review bombing in a negative way towards The Last Jedi and Captain Marvel, or even review bombing in a positive way, like how some people have done for Dave Chappelle's The Closer. That is also, like, that technically does count as well as review bombing, where where they threw out so many positive reviews, not because they enjoyed it, but because they want to enable and normalize transphobia. That's kind of the big purpose of it all. It's all political. And I do understand that it is a very serious issue, but the way YouTube has done so, the way that they approach this, I mean, technically, yes, it is a solution, but it is a bad solution. This is a case where YouTube is kind of punishing the whole class because of a few juvenile delinquents that won't behave. And honestly, like, the biggest proof why this is for big companies instead of going after review bombing is because YouTube is not going after review bombing directly. They're not going after those people in particular. If YouTube actually did care about going after review bombers, then they would have set up a system that would automatically detect like when review bombing would happen on a particular video, and they would immediately nullify any of the dislikes and any of the nasty comments that would go in there, that would just immediately explode, that would immediately delete all those dislikes and comments. But again, YouTube is not going directly towards the review bombers. They're just going after the dislike button, and they want to make sure, again, that it's no longer a PR problem for big name companies. So yeah, honestly, like I said, I could see a few bright sides for this personally as a YouTuber myself, but I am very well aware that this is objectively, and yeah, I know that, like, you know, opinions are stuff like that, but with how people are so unanimous with this, I think it is safe to say that this is objectively a bad decision from YouTube. And no, unfortunately, I don't think because of the backlash, YouTube would backtrack from this. I think that this will still remain because, again, it's for big name companies, and big name companies will be happy, so YouTube will still keep that intact. All right, so that's my entire thoughts on the whole dislike scenario with the whole dislike controversy. And now I would like to go and ask for your thoughts. What do you all think about the dislike button controversy? Are you as upset as I am about all this? Do you think there could have been a better way to go and attack, to go after directly on review bombers? Let me know what you think. Let's see what we got here. Seriously, shame on YouTube for making the decision of removing the dislike counts. Sure, it's great that videos were no longer getting review bombed, but it didn't help that it destroyed the chances of people's freedom of speech, that they had their own opinions. Disney, Grubhub, Nintendo, and many more companies can't really take so much criticism because they don't like to listen to people. It's really likely that people would no longer see the dislike count for many years to come. Again, shame on YouTube. Let's see. Getting rid of the dislikes is like removing a weighted scale on the justice balance. Banning all hate is simply banning all opinions. Like the Ghost of Leviathan said to Subnautica, we are different, but we are together. If you don't want to dislike a video, but you won't, you can just select do not show this content again. Simple as that. Well, it's better than having YouTube completely shut down, I guess, but I mean, that's kind of the sad thing with how honestly, the most that we can do is just deal with it, unfortunately. This is the big problem with YouTube right now, having a complete monopoly on the video hosting business. You know, they don't have any competitors. And when they do have competitors, whether it be Blip or VidMe or whatever, they would quickly take action to go and shut them down on the spot so that they remain on the top. And that gives them the freedom to keep making as many terrible decisions as they want because, well, there's really no other alternatives for creators like me. I mean, maybe there's Patreon, but even at that, Patreon is not necessarily a direct competitor against YouTube. Let's see now. Emperor Lemon was justified in that dislike crusade, even back in 2017, due to YouTube making bad decisions after bad decision, including, but absolutely not limited to, YouTube demonetizing a charity for the Vegas shooting victims while allowing Jimmy Kimmel and chocolate bar companies to profit off of the shooting. In any cases, thank you for seeing why the decision is met with utmost scrutiny by commoners like us. Well, yeah, because technically, by YouTube standards, I'm still a commoner as much as you guys are. I mean, I know my YouTube channel, like Electric Dragon 505, has like more than 100,000 subscribers, and that still technically makes me consider, well, I'm still considered a big YouTuber or whatever, but I'm still relatively small compared to most others. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty split on this. On one hand, thank you, YouTube. This is very helpful with people who have constant battle of angry fan people. But on the other hand, I can say right now, oh, YouTube, your awful executive decisions just keep going, don't they? I mean, taking away someone's freedom of speech, this is why I hate Susan Wojcicki as a CEO, so hashtag fire Susan. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a major day of celebration when Susan Wojcicki is going to be fired. Like, trust me, when they take her away and they bring in someone else that is more modern and can understand more the viewpoints of the creators, or can actually do something that can be beneficial for the creators, like, honestly, that would be quite a day to celebrate. But for now, it doesn't look like she's going anywhere, unfortunately. Let's see. Be honest, YouTube, you're not doing this for small creators. You're doing this because big corporations and yourself can't handle even a tiny bit of criticism, especially when they do something genuinely bad like Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. The dislike bar is also useful to tell whether a video is either just a scam, clickbait, or spread false information, especially if the video creator decides to either delete or even completely disable the comments. Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years' time, like, yeah, there are going to be people who will find ways to, like, make an alternative to the dislike button. But still, though, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, soon afterwards, like, I know this is a bit of, like, a hyperbole, but, I mean, if they're going to render the dislike count so useless, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be heavy moderation, you know, like they're going to retool the comment section. They're going to really change things up to the point where they're going to render that one useless as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see what else we have here. Any other comments? Why privating dislikes is stupid. 1, a dislike expresses a person's opinion. 2, privating the dislike will not prevent harassment and attacks. It'll probably make it worse by either the comments or when people make their own videos about it. 3, sometimes it's fun to have a dislike button, like how people make goofy comments on anyone who dislikes videos. Some people have a good reason to dislike the video. It can help creators improve their content over time. I don't mind being disliked. Yeah, I think that's going to be one thing I will miss from the dislike count, is that there are those comments is that those people who dislike this video are and they do like a witty comment related to that video. Those are going to be the good old days, and honestly, I am going to miss those. Let's see. I think I'll read 2 more comments here. This is honestly a terrible idea. While I can kind of understand why YouTube would do this to avoid harassment towards the people involved with certain projects, but this is just a horrible idea, and it just shows how YouTube is getting worse every day. Honestly, the dislike button is a good way to help some people to express their opinions, and by getting rid of it just makes people not able to express how they feel. Exactly. The thing is that, you know, big companies don't want to hear you complain when they have a new announcement, whether it be Genie Plus or the Nintendo Online expansion pack. They don't want to hear it, so they're taking away that privilege from you. All right, one more comment here. Seeing YouTube taking away the dislike button really shows how low that they can go. I know this is supposed to be a way to prevent review bombing after what we saw with The Last Jedi and Captain Marvel, but it is still not the way to create a solution. I hate what they did to video quality changes, and now they're doing this with the dislike button. Don't know how much patience I could take for YouTube, but this is going too far. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Sadly, I mean, YouTube ain't gonna get better, and I mean, they don't care. Obviously, by getting rid of the dislike button, it's pretty clear that they just don't care what we think. And with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and holy crap, 2.5 hours of this. What an epic episode this has been, and I'm glad that you guys have joined me on this crazy adventure. This has been an awesome time to cover all these stories with you. So I just want to say to you all, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes.